Welcome back to Quarantine Kitchen. I'm Brittany Vasquez and I got a treat for you today. We're gonna be making chicken fried rice. You can actually use any protein you want, or you can go without protein if you choose to. It's totally a customizable recipe. Even mine's a little bit different than the traditional way of making fried rice, but it's still pretty bomb. Why not update your meatloaf, hot dog, mac and cheese having meal that you're having during quarantine with something a little bit different? Beginning the process of it all, you're gonna wanna marinate the chicken. We're gonna be making a soy sauce based marinade. I usually recommend that you marinate for at least an hour in the fridge. Overnight's great too. And then later we'll actually pan fry it in little pieces and then add to the rice. But before we get into it, I must stress that it is very important to make sure that you take the right safety precaution. The protein has to be maintained at least a temperature of 40 degrees. Also, washing your hands before and after you handle any type of raw meat. So I already defrosted my chicken. Here we have about 4 chicken thighs. 4 thighs is roughly about 2 chicken breasts. I'm gonna use this guy right here to determine how much liquid we're gonna make for this recipe. I like to use about a 1/3 cup of packed brown sugar, about a 1/4 cup of soy sauce, grate about 3 cloves of garlic. If you don't have one of these plates, I highly recommend it. It is a serious game changer. I'll put the Amazon link in the description for you guys. It could have a couple large pieces left. The more you can mince, the better. Scrape it on down. Fresh ginger, break off a little piece here. Peel it a little bit. 1/4 to 1/2 teaspoon worth. Yeah, that's definitely enough. Some citrus. I wasn't just holding these for fun. You can use probably about 1/2 an orange. I have cuties, so I'll just use these 2 little guys. Squeeze out as much excess as you can, and then feel free to drop the pieces in there. For a little bit more acidity, we could do a little splash of vinegar. Literally, splash. Pepper. Enough to kind of cover the top a little bit. Salt. You do not need as much as pepper. Whisk, or you can use a fork. So right now we have about a cup worth of marinade. Now I'm gonna fill it up to the 2-cup line with water and add it to our raw chicken. Make sure you use a large enough bowl to cover the chicken. If there's too much chicken versus marinade, feel free to add more water. And now we'll refrigerate this bad boy for an hour. So while the chicken is marinating, this is a perfect time to get your veggies prepped and your rice for the recipe. I already chopped 1 whole yellow onion. You can use yellow or white, do not use red. And 3 green onions chopped and peeled. You can use frozen peas and carrot. I'm not a big fan of them, but if you do, you can always get one of those frozen bags. You can microwave them and defrost them and then add them to the rice later. The recipe does call for 3 cups of cooked rice. If you have a rice cooker, that's the best way to go. If you do it by pan, kudos. About 3 cups of cooked rice is about 1 cup of dry rice. 1 cup of rice here. Rinse her out. For water, I usually do about 1 1/4 cup. Definitely make sure that you have enough time to make sure that the rice is cooked before you get started. Rice is done. I also pack it down. 1, 2, and 3. So now we got 3 cups of cooked rice. This recipe will also work out pretty well if you have any leftover rice like in the fridge from a previous meal. Use it. So now that the chicken has been marinating in the fridge for about an hour, we're gonna go ahead and cut into little pieces and put it into a separate bowl. If you wanna be the most efficient with your time, I highly recommend warming up a little bit of oil in your pot that you're gonna be cooking the rice in. Once that's warmed up, then you can go ahead and add the onion, because sauteing onions takes a long time. Chicken is all cut and ready to go. Add a bunch of little bite-sized pieces there. I probably would recommend not to go any bigger than 1.5 inches. I'm gonna do a couple spoonfuls of the marinade, about like 3 right there, a little lining on the bottom to cook with the chicken. All right, now chicken's ready to go, rice is ready to go. We're gonna go ahead and go to POV mode. So pull onto your hats. So for my stovetop here, we have pot over a large pan, is because rice tends to overflow and get a little bit messy. And then we're gonna have a pan here on the side that I'm gonna cook the chicken and then add to the rice later. Turn up these bad boys to like medium high heat. Same thing. Fried rice usually call for sesame oil, but canola works just fine, or olive, whatever you got. I use just a little splash. Let that coat the bottom of the pan just for the rice. We're also warming up the chicken pan in the meantime too. We don't need oil because these guys are just going to be cooked in pan with its juice. So now that it's all spread out and it's not as yellow anymore, we're ready to go and add the onion. And we're just gonna let these bad boys sit for a little while until they turn translucent in color, so that they don't stick to the bottom of the pan. Meanwhile, this guy's gotta be pretty hot and ready to go. So we're gonna go ahead and add our chicken. Make sure that we have the chicken all spread out evenly. You're gonna want to turn them frequently and wait for them to turn white in color like you would see a chicken nugget. Right now I have the chicken at like a simmer, and same with these guys. They're not screaming too much. The onion is starting to turn a little bit more see-through in color. We're gonna kind of push these bad boys to the side a little bit. We're gonna add 2 eggs to scramble. And just on this side alone, we're gonna kind of scramble the eggs. The eggs are still kind of scrambled in their own place. I can see that there's more eggs sticking to the bottom of the pan. So at this point, we're gonna add just a little more oil. Remember, this is fried rice, so definitely keep your oil on you. Once we kind of get a good scramble there, go ahead and add our rice. Break it all down and start mixing everything together. So now we got the rice all mixed up there a little bit and patted down. We're gonna go ahead and add our soy sauce. And I kind of like to paint initially just all over the top. That's a good initial color for me for now. So I'm gonna go ahead and just let that sit, kind of get like a little like pan fry on the bottom. And check up on the chicken here. One of the reasons why I like to cook in a little bit of marinade, it'll get a little bit of that extra flavor cooked in case it didn't marinate long enough. Also, because I believe that the moisture helps the chicken from getting too dry if you just have it in the pan as is. I don't know about you, but I am not a big fan of dry chicken. As far as the rice goes, whenever rice gets stuck on the bottom, I like to add a little bit more oil. You can kind of tell when fried rice is ready to eat. It kind of tends to fall apart on its own. So we're almost there. We're gonna go ahead and add the green onions. Usually like the last bit, just to kind of like sit and get softened up a little bit. And then we're gonna go ahead and add salt and pepper. I could not grind salt and pepper while holding a phone. Use your best judgment. It's a taste as you go type of thing. I always use more pepper than salt. Keep in mind that there's a lot of sodium in soy sauce, so you only need like a sprinkle. Just sprinkling everywhere with pepper. Gonna do a little taste. I taste more salt and pepper than soy sauce. So at this point, I'm gonna add more soy sauce. You kind of just have to gauge between the soy sauce, the salt, and the pepper. Rice is looking Gucci. Chicken, the moisture all absorbed. It is completely cooked through in the middle and not all dry. Kind of turned into a little bit of a heat glaze on top of the chicken. Then we're gonna go ahead and add it to the rice. Combine all together, and there you go, guys. I think we're ready. That concludes today's episode of Quarantine Chicken. Dinner is served. See you in a couple days, friends.